Good morning. Predicted trades, family. Hope everybody's doing well. My oh my, what a push we got from FOMC. That's not what I wanted. There we go. All right. So, overall, if we look at our daily structure, we've broken out from the trend line from highs of last year. We've pulled back and tested it a couple of times. And in breaking through and pulling back, we also tagged our daily moving averages, resetting the board and getting ready to push higher. We are approaching recent highs. If we look left, the last few rallies that we had got up to 41.75 and 41.80. So there's a 5-point range above with potential resistance from those highs. On our path to 4,200. We also have from the June rally that high around 43.27.5 and this supply zone above that starts at 42.50. Just some targets to the upside as we start to break out. If we also think about the context of things, we do still have some economic data releases this week and some big tech earnings. Let me pull up our economic calendar. So we got FOMC yesterday. This morning we had some jobless claims, some productivity. At 10 a.m. we have one more data drop with factory orders. Don't really expect it to have a big impact. The big one is tomorrow. The big one is tomorrow, and non-farm payroll, unemployment, jobs data, right? A little bit of PMI at 9:45, and again some data at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And then it's smooth sailing. Next week is pretty empty. Just our regular jobless claims and University of Michigan data. So overall, we have pretty clear skies for the next week or so, maybe even the rest of February. As we get through big tech earnings, we had our FOMC. We don't have anything next week. The next big one will be CPI, and then PCE, and then FOMC all over again. We also have big tech earnings today. After the bell, we had Meta yesterday after the bell, and it had a huge reaction to the upside. Pull this over. So yesterday we had Meta. Today after the bell we have Amazon, Apple, Google, a little bit of Qualcomm. Some big names today after the bell. Tomorrow's pretty light. So we'll see how they react to each of these earnings and if we end up having a Friday rally off of it. And again, that's in our earnings channel where we drop in this data from earnings that you guys can use in your prep and whatnot. So, where can we be going today? We do have a little 30-minute squeeze that we are at the top of right now. Overall, overnight, we have been very balanced and we have stayed above that 41.36.5. In fact, when this tapped it last night, I was able to pick up some longs to let marinate while I was asleep. Overall, big key levels to the upside. 41.56, I know we're above it right now, but if we get a little pullback, it'll still be a level to deal with. 41.56, 41.65. Then we have that 41.75, 41.80, those recent highs. And then above that, I have 41.83, 41.90, and 42.05 as some targets to hit. We are at the top of this 2-day squeeze, which has now gotten very thin and ready to fire. So if we can get up to this 41.80, 41.90 today, and stay up there, close up there, we'll likely see that 2-day squeeze fire into tomorrow and into next week. Our third Keltner sits up at about 42.25. So just saying we have some room to go and get above 4,200 before we start to run into third Keltner, which is, a little bit overbought. Now we can grind up higher and drag that third Keltner up with us. So I am not by any means stepping in front of this freight train and saying just because we hit third Keltner we're going to reverse. Overall, let's just continue to play the price action that we have, and I'm not worried about shorting or any kind of reversals back down just yet. Overall we can use our smaller time frame tools like our MA clouds, and they'll start to show us when a 3-5 minute reversal is forming, and that's when we start to short back down to key levels, ready to go long again, right? If we look at our 45 MAs, we took off from them yesterday to the upside. We are dragging them all up with us. And now we've got our 30-minute 45, just a hair below that 41.36. Ooh, here we go. Pushing a little higher pre-market. Let's see. Where was I? Overall, if we start to run into that 41.75, 41.80 and start to come back, we want to watch these levels for bounces at 41.56. Overall, if we can get down near those overnight lows, that 41.36.5, that'll be at the bottom of the 30-minute squeeze. Another good spot to catch a bounce for continuation. We have that 30-minute 45 just a hair below that 41.36. If we start to give that out, then it spells falling back to 41.08, 4100, where our 1 hour 45 sits. And also, we had in this run up, then structure. If you look at like a volume profile, we had a bunch of volume down in this consolidation range. We had a breakout, and then we had a bunch of volume up at these levels. Just meaning if we start to give out these key levels, we have, thin prints on the volume profile in between these levels. So should we give out this 41.36.5, it does spell a dip back down here, but everything's looking strong. We have price acceptance up in these levels, and we're trying to push higher. All of big tech did have a good push yesterday afternoon, and as we go through those names, we'll see that they are up at some key levels as well. With earnings after the bell, we could see them rally today, continue to rally into earnings, and then we'll have to see what we get. So those are your levels on ES today. Almost up to 41.70. Jeez. I just cut some longs and took profit right before I started prep. I should have just left them on and watched them. on futures, but overall, very strong. Let's start going through the names. Oops, darn it. We did leave point of control down below. It did not come up with us. We did not get enough volume exchange in the time that we had yesterday up in this new area. But with the start of a new month, we'll have to see as we get price acceptance up here if POC will step up. On NQ, we made it above 12,500. And we can see that the overnight lows right near that 12,500. So on any dips, looking for that to hold. Should that give out, we want to target back to 400 and 300, these recent highs. But if we can hold up above 500, looking to keep pushing up through 12,700. And then it's basically like every 100-point increment in our journey back to 13,000, if we can remain strong. NQ is approaching that third Keltner to the upside. So we always want to be cognizant of when we are starting to get past that, we're a little bit overbought. Overall, if we could push more and stay up here at least, we'll slowly drag this daily 21 up to 12,000 or 12,100 or above the daily 200, and then a reversion to the mean really isn't so bad or any cause for concern. Still bullish. So let's see if we can hold that 12,500 and keep trucking. Looking great so far this morning. And I think moving forward, I might start doing pre-recorded preps because this is a waste of our time to sit here and wait for charts to load. Ready, let's see if it can continue higher and get back to yesterday's high. It pushed pretty hard. Overall, looking to see if it can get up to 2000, 2003. If we start to give out 1960, you want to target back to 1940. But wouldn't want to see Ruddy necessarily already engulf back. So let's see if we can hold above that 1960. 30-minute squeeze is going to be the guide today. If this is going to be this slow, I might just hit the key things and move on. Little cause for concern on YM. It did have a good push yesterday, but it is still being held back. There we go. Still being held back by recent highs. As you can see, we did push up to about 34,400 yesterday, but now we've come back and we've just bounced at 34,000, but we're being held back by these recent highs. So YM is the only thing that's a little concerning right now. We kind of need it to get through those recent highs and try to keep trucking up to 34,500 up at the top of this 2-day squeeze to play along with the rest of the market. If it continues to be held back, it's kind of just settling into a balance range after a nice push up. It could start to break down below daily moving averages. We could see a fall to the bottom of this daily squeeze on something like a mean reversion on the market. Not saying that happens at all today, just saying it's a little concerning. Overall, I want to see us stay above this 34,000. I want to see us get above 34,250, and stay up there. So let's see what we get on YM, the lagger right now. SPY made it above 414. It's a very key level. See if we can hold that early. And the next stop is to try to get to 417, 418 on SPY. Yesterday's highs were right below that 414, so we're pushing through yesterday's highs already. Man, market, slow down. Apple. Made it above this 147.5 and pushing through the daily 200 at 148. On any dips, want to see us hold that 147.5 to catch a bounce. If we start to give that out, we want to target back to yesterday's high and maybe even back to filling the gap back down to this 145. With earnings after the bell, pretty much just expecting Apple to stay above 147 and hit these key levels, right? 150 still sets a good step above. We are gapping up 3 points, so almost an ATR. So again, expecting us to probably chop around this daily 200. As long as we stay up here, that's pretty good for the market on Apple. AMD up to 84. I'm going to skip this one. AMD already reported chips getting a lot of love. I would be looking for continuation. On AMD, it's, can we get through 85 and continue up to 90? Man, market. 4173. Ugh, Gerg. I had my last long entry on futures at 4159. I should have left it on while I was doing prep and be up 10 points. Amazon, what a beast. Got up to $1.10. Moving further after hours on sympathy with Meta. We have the daily 200 up at 112.5, so that's kind of the upside target right now on Amazon, 3.5 point ATR, and up more than that. So wouldn't necessarily be stepping in and expecting that we just push another ATR, but anything's possible right now. They are loading heavily into tech. Amazon reports earnings. Even if the reaction is negative on Amazon and we maybe tag the daily 200 and then dip, staying above 100, it's all still very bullish. Our daily 21 sitting down at 97. So all looking good here. But as extended as it is and after such a gap up, you just got to be cautious. Earnings after the bell. Not going to be touching it, but going to keep an eye on it. Google. Same thing, earnings after the bell, up 5 points on a 3-point ATR, same thing. Would like to see it just go sideways and have price acceptance up at 105 going into earnings. Again, up on sympathy with Meta, Google and Meta and XLC. Next stop would be that 107.5. We are at the daily 200. Just got above it. So keep an eye there. And basically, if we do pull back, want to see that 103 hold going into earnings. That would be price acceptance up here and balance in the earnings. Let's see. Meta. Close at 153 up to 185, up 30 points. Wow. I mean, that's, 20% of its value? So overall, up huge on earnings, still pushing for more. Can this gap and go? Anything's possible. But after such a big move on the market, yesterday, and a lot of these tech names would not be surprised for some sideways action. But it's interesting, Meta arrived above the daily 200, reported earnings, took off. And we just saw Amazon, Google, Apple, all reporting after the bell, all arrived at the daily 200. If they have good reactions to earnings, could take off. Could also be some negative reactions and at least reasons for a pullback. Microsoft already reported earnings, got up to 252, gapping up to 256. Could still go a little more on a full ATR move. Come on. Oh, and yesterday I was calling out all day at 246. It's a good spot to go long on Microsoft. 246 is now where POC was left. You can see we held 246, held 246, and even with FOMC reaction, held that 246 in that daily 8. I think a number of people in the room went long on Microsoft from that point. Those 250s, 255s, great strikes, moved wonderful. Got up to that daily 200 and that 255, now pushing a little more. If we can keep going. Oh, we're also through that earnings high. Yep. If we can keep trucking. Next big key levels, 260, 262, and 266.75 are my next big key levels. If we can keep going on Microsoft, if we start to fall back below 255 in this daily 200, we could slip back to 250, recent highs, for a test before continuing. Netflix was very quiet yesterday until FOMC, and actually a little bit before FOMC, it started to pick up some steam. I think some news blips came out about their ad revenues going well for the new tier, and they're going to be cracking down on password sharing as soon as next month, which could mean more revenue. Back above this 361, looking for that to hold, looking to get up through this recent high of 370 and try to get up to my next key level, 378. We start to lose that 361, target back to 355, the daily 8, and 350 yesterday's lows. NVIDIA. I may be usually long-winded, but when I want to rattle through stuff, I can do it quickly. NVIDIA with that big old push yesterday from 200 straight to my next key level at 210. Gapping down a little bit. Well, I'm sorry, it is gapping up a little bit, but not up as much as the other names that we have seen. Not through yesterday's high yet. Let's see if we can hold above pre-market lows. Basically 205, 206 at the bottom of this 30-minute squeeze. As long as we can hold above that and start to push through yesterday's highs. My next big key levels would basically be 215, 220 if NVIDIA can continue. It is getting up past third Keltner. If we start to lose that 205, you want to target back to 200, where we were settling before FOMC. Wow, QQQ. Made it to 300, gapping up to 307. Huge moves. And can we just open and keep going? Yes. The safer move is just to wait, let things form, and catch a pullback. Overall, let's see, we closed around 300. Do have some pre-market wicks that came back to 301. Overall, I'd be looking for us to stay above 303 on any dips in the morning. We start to lose 303, we want to target back to 301, 300. But if we can hold above 303, if we even get any dips, looking to continue up to this 309.5 and 311. Those are the next big key levels on QQQ. If we can continue. And then past 311, I got a zone up at 316, 317. Let's go to SPY. SPY up over 414 on any dips. Would love to see it hold there. That would be very bullish and a quick dip for continuation. If we start to lose that 414, we want to target back to 412, where we bounced pre-market or overnight. Yeah. So if we lose 414, you want to target back to 412. If that can't hold, back to 410. On SPY, the 2-day squeeze is firing. If we can continue to the upside, looking to get up to 417, 18, 19, 420. I've got a number of key levels there. Past that, it'd be 422, 424. Obviously not saying we get there today. We are gapping up 4 points on a 6-point ATR. So, even 417, 418 is a little past an ATR move. And that's also where the third Keltner sits. So use those pre-market highs and lows if we do get a pullback. We could bounce at pre-market high. We could slip through that. Then you want to target a bounce at pre-market low. We start slipping through that. You target back to these key levels below. Don't start freezing on me. This is another reason I'm going to start doing pre-recorded. Because when this happens, I can just pause the video. So we're already tapping that 4175 on ES pre-market. 4175, 4180 are those recent highs. So we could tap that and roll back over. Tesla's at 415. Come on, toss. There we go. So Tesla did a great job holding 170 yesterday, even after that FOMC came out, held 171, and shot up above 180. Now we're almost arriving at my next targets. To the upside, those are 190.5 and 190.75. So just call it like 190.5, next key targets. And then past that, we're trying to fight up to 200. If Tesla can continue. I will say that Tesla is getting above its third Keltner, so always something to keep an eye on. But let's see if the momentum can continue after a good earnings report and after getting beat up for so long. And of course, Elon got done selling all of his shares right before the earnings run up. Smart. So let's see if it can continue through 190 and try to make it to 200. If we start to lose 184, we might want to target back to 180 for a bounce. And finally, VIX. Finally got down below 18 yesterday, continuing even lower pre-market as we push for more. At this point, being below 18, it does open the door for us to get down to 16 and 16.5. Those are the next big key levels, which could cause a bounce and a fight back to 18. Yesterday, we did fill this gap, right? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. Overall, for continuation today, I want to see VIX stay below 18. You know, if we get a little pullback, I'm okay with VIX popping back up, testing 18 recent lows. And as long as we stay below 18 and that 18.15 where that first Keltner of the downside sits, looking for VIX to roll back over, continue lower, get down to 17 and 16.5. Maybe even down to that 16. That's for upside. If we start to pull back and can't hold support, and ES maybe starts to lose that 41.36.5 to go back to 41.08, then we could see VIX get back above 18, use it as support, and push back up to 18.719, where the daily 8, daily 15 sit. Yesterday we were at the daily 21. We've departed from that. We could do a quick pop up to hit these lower MAs, the daily 8, before actually taking off from the daily moving averages and staying away from them for a while. So let's see if we can get to that 16.5, 16 today, continue this downtrend on VIX, uptrend on the market. Or let's see if we're just going to pull back and settle. We see VIX pop back up near 18 and chop around. That's it for prep today. It is Thursday. It's a free day where you can come in and test our tools and trade along with our traders in our voice chat. So if you're new to Predicted Trades, there's a link to our Discord server in the description of this video. Come join us for a free Thursday and come test out our tools. We output a tool every day that you put on your options and equity charts that shows you the best spots to buy and sell. So that's it for prep. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see everybody in the chat today. And good luck.